Hello everyone. In this class, we'll try to learn how blood is coagulated. Coagulation of blood is a vital physiological process as hemorrhage, unless checked, is detrimental to life. Blood is maintained in a fluid state in the vascular compartment yet swiftly coagulates to seal a vascular injury. Failure to form clot results in hemorrhage or thromboembolic phenomena. Immediately following vascular damage, platelet plug, that is temporary hemostatic plug formation occurs at the site of injury that immediately stops bleeding. However, unless associated with the definitive hemostatic plug, hemorrhage continues as platelet thrombosis is not a stable plug. The definitive hemostasis is the coagulation of the blood, the process which is simultaneously activated along with activation of platelets. Coagulation of blood occurs due to activation of clotting factors, that is, coagulation proteins, that are normally present in their inactive form in the plasma. These are some of the clotting factors. There are 13 factors have been identified. Factor 1 is fibrinogen, factor 2 is prothrombin, factor 3 is tissue thromboplastin, factor 4 is calcium, 5 is proacelerin, 6 is proconvertin, 7 is 6 is absent, 7 is proconvertin, 8 is antihemophilic factor, 9 is Christmas factor, 10 is Stewart Power factor, 11 is plasma thromboplastin antecedent, 12 is Hegman factor, 13 is fibrin stabilizing factor, and the other procoagulants are HM, WK, pre-kallikrein, kallikrein, phospholipids, and some of the inhibitors of clotting factors are protein C, protein Z, thrombomodulin, antithrombin 3, tissue factor pathway inhibitor, protein Z dependent protease inhibitor. Mechanism of blood coagulation involves three major stages. The stage one is conversion of Stewart factor, that is the formation of prothrombin activator. Stage 2 is formation of thrombin from prothrombin, and stage 3 is formation of fibrin from fibrinogen. Activation of Stewart power factor, that is stage 1. This is achieved by two pathways, that is intrinsic pathway and extrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway in turn involves four steps. First step is activation of factor 12. The activation of intrinsic pathway starts with contact of Hegman factor with a negatively charged surface or exposed collagen of the injured vessel wall. High molecular weight kininogen and kallikrein acts as a cofactors to facilitate the activation of factor 12. The exposed collagen stimulates the platelet adhesion and aggregation before initiating the blood coagulation. Step 2 is activation of factor 11. Activated factor 12 converts inactivated 11 into active 11. So this step is accelerated in the presence of HMW kininogen. Step 3 is activation of factor 9. Activated factor 11 converts inactive factor 9 into active 9, which is accentuated by active factor 7. Calcium accelerates this process. Step 4 is activation of factor 9. Final step is activation of a prothrombin activator, which is activation of factor 9. Active 9 causes activation of inactive 10 into active 10, which is activated Stewart power factor. The membrane phospholipid, calcium, and activated factor 8 acts as a cofactor for the activation of Stewart power factor. Formation of activated 8 is a crucial stage in stage 1. Formation of activated factor 8 is a key process for the activation of factor 10. Factor 8 circulates as a complex with von Willebrand factor. Separation of factor 8 from von Willebrand factor activates factor 8. Activation of factor 8 uh, is facilitated by uh, activated factor 10 and thrombin. the factors that are consequences of formation of activation of active factor 8. Thus, the activation factor 8 and further activation of clotting mechanism becomes a vicious cycle. Extrinsic pathway occurs in three steps. The initial step is release of tissue TPL. The key to the clotting mechanism is the release of tissue thromboplastin from the injured tissue. Then the TPL converts the factor 7 into active factor 7. So this is the key step in extrinsic mechanism. Then active factor A converts inactive 10 into active 10. So this process is accelerated in the presence of calcium, platelet phospholipid, and tissue thromboplastin. So this is the flow chart showing both the intrinsic and extrinsic pathway. So upon injury, with the help of high molecular weight kininogen kallikrein, factor 12 gets converted into active factor 12. That converts inactive 11 into active 11. That in turn converts inactive 9 into active 9. So that helps in the conversion of inactive 10 into active 10 in the presence of calcium, activated factor 8, and phospholipids. Whereas extrinsic pathway, it releases the thromboplastin which converts inactive factor 7 into active factor 7. So with the help of phospholipid, calcium, and thromboplastin, this complex converts inactive factor 10 into active factor 10. Okay, so further activated 10 with help of phospholipids, calcium, and activated factor 5 converts prothrombin into thrombin. The thrombin in turn converts fibrinogen into fibrin. Then the fibrin monomers are stabilized, so that is going to form the clot. So this is the second stage of the blood coagulation in which activated factor 10 converts prothrombin into thrombin in the presence of platelet, phospholipid, calcium, and activated factor 5. Factor 5 acts as a cofactor for acceleration of this process. Therefore, it is also called as proaccelerin or accelerator globulin. The functions of thrombin in blood coagulation. So it converts fibrinogen into fibrin monomers by removing fibrinopeptides A and B from fibrinogen. Fibrin monomers then form fibrin polymers, so that is clot. It activates formation of prothrombin activator by stimulating the activation of factor 8, 5, and 13. Thus, it provides positive feedback to the regulation of coagulation process. It is a potent activator of platelets. It activates procarboxypeptidase B that inhibits plasmin-mediated fibrinolysis. It has also anti-clotting activity. It binds to cofactor thrombomodulin on the endothelial cells that allows protein C to be activated. Thus, thrombin balances the coagulation and anticoagulation process in the body. It helps in the repair of a vessel wall. It has a growth factor and cytokine-like activities that play a role in inflammation, wound healing, and atherosclerosis. Inhibitors of thrombin are uh, the plasma antithrombin 3, okay, and heparin cofactor 2 also inhibits thrombin. Formation of fibrin from fibrinogen, which is a stage 3. So this is the final stage of blood coagulation in which thrombin acts as an enzyme to convert fibrinogen into fibrin. In this process, first the fibrin monomers are formed and afterward they are polymerized to fibrin thread. Okay, so which is called as blood clot. This occurs in three steps. One is proteolysis of the soluble fibrinogen, then polymerization of the fibrin monomers, then stabilization of the fibrin polymers. So this is the mechanism of fibrin stabilization. Once fibrinogen is formed, okay, so there the monomer they are uh, uh, they release the fibrinopeptides A and B. Then fibrin monomers join to form the profibrils that aggregate to form thick fibrin fibers. Then fibrin fibers undergo polymerization to form insoluble fibrin polymers. Then cross-linking of these fibrin polymers occurs that is a stabilized fibrin meshwork or clot. The fibrinogen has three domains, the two peripheral domains and one central domain E. Thrombin binds with the central domain and proteolytically releases two fibrinopeptides A and B from amino terminals of A alpha and beta beta chains of each uh, fibrinogen molecule. Release of fibrinopeptide leads to formation of fibrin monomer. Fibrin monomers join to form protofibrils. About 15 to 20 protofibrils aggregate to form thick fibers of fibrin. Protofibrils also branch out to form into a meshwork of interconnected thick fibrin fibers. So this is called as polymerization of fibrin monomers. Thrombin facilitates the process of polymerization and simultaneously activates factor 13. Activated factor 13 completes the process of polymerization. Then fibrin stabilizing factor, that is factor activated 13, stabilizes the fibrin polymers by cross-linking them. 13 is converted into active 13 by thrombin. Calcium acts as a cofactor in this conversion. Covalent cross-linking of fibrin polymers provides adequate strength to the fibrin thread and to the fibrin meshwork. The stabilized fibrin meshwork is called as blood clot. Red cells and platelets are trapped inside the fibrin meshwork to give volume to the clot. Clot retraction occurs when it is allowed to rest in a test tube. The fibrin mesh spreads all around the trapping all the serum within it. This phenomenon is called as clot retraction. The process of clot retraction is believed to occur in vivo that causes consolidation of the thrombus, that is intravascular clot. Clot retraction is the function of platelets. For effective clot retraction to occur, normally functioning platelet must be present in adequate number. The retracted clot decreases the efficiency of thrombolysis, that is fibrinolysis. Therefore, thrombus-rich platelets is resistant to fibrinolytic agents. The platelets form spicules, that is a filopodia, that extends along with fibrin threads. Fibrin strands tug with the filopodia and also profibril network of thin fibrin strand get embedded within the filopodia by the action of membrane cytoskeleton. Later, platelets shrink with the contraction of their filopodia. So this causes internalization of the fibrin within the contracted platelets, thus retraction of the clot occurs. Thrombin and calcium accelerate the clot retraction. Glycoprotein 2b3a receptors on the platelet facilitates clot retraction. A retracted clot is a consolidated and stable thrombus which not only firmly seals the opening of the injured vessel but also has other function. Okay, so this, strongly seals the injured vessel. It facilitates also the wound healing and it prevents thrombolysis. Normally, clot retraction begins within 30 seconds after clot formation. However, the process of retraction is very slow. About 50% of the retraction occurs at the end of 1 hour and completes in 18 to 24 hours. Clot retraction time is said to be prolonged when retraction is less than 50% at the end of 1 hour. In Glanzmann's thrombocythemia, deficiency of 2b3a receptors results in inhibition of clot retraction that causes prolongation of clot retraction time. Platelet deficiency also prolongs the clot retraction time. Anti-clotting mechanism, where tendency of blood to clot in vivo prevented by naturally occurring anti-clotting mechanisms. There is a balance between clotting and anti-clotting mechanisms. Physiological vascular stress. In our body, normally there is a low level of activation of coagulation factors. This results in basal coagulation of blood. The basal coagulation may be due to the minor injuries to the blood vessels that occur during normal daily activities, normal vascular stress. However, coagulation process proceeds only when enough thrombin is generated in response to a significant vascular injury. Moreover, the basal coagulation is balanced by the activity of basal anticoagulation, which is evidenced by presence of low levels of protein C and tissue plasminogen activator activity in normal individuals. Some of the physiological anti-clotting mechanisms include three naturally occurring systems in our body. First one is presence of naturally occurring anticoagulants in the blood. Second one is interaction between thromboxane A2 and prostacyclin, and third one is an important role played by vascular endothelium. Fibrinolysis occurs in three steps, that is activation of protein C, activation of plasmin, and fibrinolysis. The thrombin, which is produced by a clotting mechanism, acts as an enzyme to activate protein C to its active form. The anti-clotting mechanism activated by thrombin can also be initiated by thrombomodulin, a hormone secreted from endothelial cells of blood vessels. Thrombomodulin activates protein C. Activated protein C inactivates the inhibitors of plasmin activator. This in turn activates plasminogen activator, which promotes the formation of plasmin from plasminogen. The activated protein C along with cofactor protein S also inactivates active factor 5 and active factor 8 to their respective inactive forms. This aids in the prevention of coagulation. Plasmin acts as an enzyme uh, to cause fibrinolysis, that is the lysis of clot. So this process facilitated by two factors, thrombin and tissue type plasminogen activator and urokinase type plasminogen activator. The fibrin is degraded by plasmin to fibrin degradation products, that is called as FDP. Okay, so this is the entire process of the fibrinolysis. Uh, the vascular endothelium releases the thrombomodulin, okay, and with the thrombin, it forms the complex and converts protein C into activated protein C. Okay, so which is inhibitor of the factors 7 and 8. Okay, so that in turn inhibits the intrinsic mechanism of coagulation. Where activated protein C with the cofactor protein S, it it causes activation of the plasminogen activator, so which converts plasminogen into plasmin. Okay, and plasmin is a powerful fibrinolytic agent which leads to fibrinolysis and leading to the release of fibrin degrading products in the blood. So the functions of plasmin broadly can be divided into two categories: fibrinolytic actions and non-fibrinolytic actions. Fibrinolytic action, where plasmin cleaves both fibrinogen and fibrin. The plasmin initially cleaves alpha and beta chains within the D domain of fibrinogen that releases A alpha and B beta fragments. Subsequently, plasmin cleaves polypeptide chains connecting D and E domains that forms D, E and Y fragments. Degradation of fibrin by plasmin results into production of fibrin degradation products such as D dimers. Non-fibrinolytic actions are uh, plasmin is also involved in the tissue remodeling, plays important role in inflammation and tumor cell invasion. It controls ovulation and embryogenesis. It regulates the development of the neurons. The plasmin plays a role in the activation of growth factors, and it also helps in proliferative response of blood vessels to injury. There are inhibitors of fibrinolysis also, so they can be divided into two categories: plasmin inhibitors and plasminogen activator inhibitor. Plasmin inhibitors are alpha 2 antiplasmin, a serpine peptide containing 452 amino acids. Though it is synthesized by liver and kidney, it is a constituent of alpha granules of platelets. Alpha 2 macroglobulin is a non serpine plasmin inhibitor formed by endothelial cells and macrophages. Plasminogen activator inhibitors pi 1 and pi 2. Pi 1 is a single chain polypeptide containing 402 amino acids secreted by liver monocyte and endothelial cells and also adipocytes. This is the most important and rapidly acting physiological inhibitors of TPA and UPA. Pi 2 is secreted by placenta, monocyte, and tumor cells. It is less effective than Pi 1 in inhibiting plasminogen activators. Plasmin generation defects, the fibrinolytic deficiency. Fibrinolytic deficiency is usually due to plasminogen deficiency. There are two types of congenital plasminogen deficiency. Type 1 is both concentration and function of plasminogen are reduced. In type 2, though the concentration of plasminogen is normal, but its function is reduced. The patient with plasminogen deficiency exhibits repeated episodes of thrombophlebitis, intracranial and mesenteric venous thrombosis, and pulmonary embolism. Sometimes enhanced fibrolysis occurs due to the congenital or acquired loss of fibrinolytic inhibitor activity, that is, deficiency of alpha 2 antiplasmin uh, is one of the common cause. The patient presents with a bleeding diathesis. In promyelocytic leukemia, bleeding occurs due to the high levels of plasmin generation and deficiency of antiplasmin, alpha antiplasmin. In acquired or alpha 2 antiplasmin deficiency may be seen in liver disease, disseminated intravascular coagulation, nephritic syndrome, and thrombolytic therapy. So there are many factors which regulate the blood coagulation. Blood coagulation at the site of injury is uh, life-saving and it prevents loss of blood volume. However, once clot is formed, the process of clotting must be terminated to avoid the thrombotic occlusion in the adjacent normal areas of the blood vessels. If the clotting mechanism or clotting remains unchecked, the coagulation of the blood can spread to the entire vascular tree and modest with a modest procoagulant stimulus. Coagulation is normal in blood vessels or uh, in circulation is highly dangerous. Fluidity of the blood and absence of thrombosis are important physiological states that are essential for normal circulation and blood supply to the tissues of the body. So, the balance between coagulation and anticoagulation is due to the play of various regulatory mechanisms. So, the flow of blood plays a very important role. The flow of blood is dynamic process. When the rate of blood flow decreases, as it occurs in vascular stasis, intravascular coagulation is facilitated. Thus, continuous dynamic flow of the blood should be maintained to prevent intravascular coagulation. The role of vascular endothelium. Vascular endothelium plays important role in restricting coagulation process to the site of injury. Damage to the vascular endothelium initiates the clotting mechanism by exposing its collagen and negatively charged particles. Once adequate hemostasis is achieved, thrombomodulin, a hormone secreted from endothelial cells of blood vessels, prevent further blood coagulation by activating protein C S complex. Also, protease inhibitors, uh, antithrombin 3 and tissue factor pathway inhibitor are expressed on the surface of the endothelial cells. Endothelial cells also inhibit platelet activation by releasing prostacyclin and uh, endothelin releasing factor that inhibits platelets. Heparin antithrombin 3 system. Heparin is a naturally occurring anticoagulant secreted from mast cells and basophils. Heparin acts by activating the antithrombin 3 activity. Heparin antithrombin 3 complex prevents activation of clotting factors 9, 10, 11, and 12. Also, negative feedback. by thrombin. Thrombin, which is the major mediator of blood coagulation, initiates the process of anti-clotting mechanism, that is fibrinolysis. Thus, the coagulation is an autoregulatory process. The liver has to play an important role in blood coagulation. Many coagulation factors are plasma proteins and they are formed mainly in the liver. The liver disease clotting time is prolonged, and also liver plays an important role in preventing intravascular coagulation by removing activated clotting factors from the blood. This hepatic clearance of activated clotting factors is accelerated when clotting is spontaneously activated. In addition to its role in primary hemostasis, platelets contribute to coagulation in various ways. Following platelet activation, platelet phospholipids 3 and 4 released on their surface acts as a cofactor to accelerate the formation of active 5, 7 and 11. Cofactors 5A and 8A rapidly localize to the membrane of activated platelet. Also, activated factor 9 and activated 7 tissue factor complex bind to platelet surface. This leads to formation of 9A 7A complex on the platelet surface, following which the factor 10 is recruited from the plasma to the platelets and is activated to activated 10 on platelet membrane. Thus, platelets play important role in activation of factor 10, which is a crucial step in blood coagulation. Thus, major clotting reactions occur close to the interaction with the platelets. As the platelet adhesion and aggregation are localized at the injured vessel wall, the platelets help in restricting clotting reaction to the site of injury. So this is in brief about the blood coagulation.